16 deck lists, 8 classes, no one played Hunter. Starting with Druid. Obviously it's Jade Druid because the combo Druid is not that reliable, right? One dirty red and your whole combo is gone. We see maybe 3 things that aren't that normal in here. Number 1, only one branching path. Second of all, we still have Hackerbot over Ironbot Golem. And number 3, most importantly, there's Zeliax. Zeliax is really damn good. I mean, just imagine it. You face any aggressive deck and you kind of fall behind. You have Hackerbot already. Or at least you are guaranteed to get him with Arcane Summons, and then you play Zeliax on him. It's a 6/10 with Taunt, Lifesteal, Divine Shield, Rush, all that stuff. Good list. Also double Neutralize against big threats. Most likely Arcane Giants from Quest Mage. Speaking of which, Quest Mage is still there. Luna draws you lots of cards. Flamewaker plus Apprentice plus 12 1-mana spells is really broken and can kill you. And we still have Elemental Evocation, we still have that Cyclone. That is not unfair at all. Definitely great. 0 mana, gain 7 cards. That can all be Fireball or Ice Block or other secrets that are created by and random. The main reason this deck still works is Vargheth. Because even if you play out Wariior and you have, let's say, 70 health in total, Vargheth, double Arcane Giant, double Flamewaker, 2-3 turns in total, that's a lot of damage. Play this deck if you face anything control heavy. Now we can also play the aggressive version of Mage, which is just Tempo Mage. And for Tempo Mage, we can see there are lots of secrets. We even have the Masked Contender to get even more secrets out of our deck. The only thing I would say is you probably need double Potion of Polymorph. Just in case you face Priest and you want to make sure that they get a 1/1 in their Resurrection Pool instead of that Katrina. That resummons stuff forever. Yay, thanks Blizzard. It's pretty simple. You play aggressive, you aim face, opponent is dead, you have Eloneth to draw. Maybe you want to put in Jeeves. I would say from this list, Conjurer's Calling doesn't make too much sense. It's still 3 mana summon 2 random minions. And overall the deck is just missing a little bit of draw. Maybe Arcane Intellect, maybe Research Project. Next up we got Paladin. Besides the odd Paladin list that probably has like 3 cards that are different than usual, we have Hand Buff Paladin, ranked to Legend by Reno Jackson. Hand Buff Paladin with Snip Snap. An old deck with new cards that are now buffed and Snip Snap. So this deck is fresh, this deck is new, and also old at the same time. Look at it. Flying Machine, GVG card, lots of max, Corpse Taker, Zeliax, all that good stuff. The only issue I personally have with Paladin is, even though Christology is 1 mana to draw 2 1-health minions, you kinda want to target Grim Street Outfitter to buff your hand, obviously. Thing is, how many cards have 1 attack in here? 7, 8, 10? Lots of them. So it's not a targeted draw anymore, but you can still draw 2 cards for 1 mana and you can buff them and you can make them gigantic. That has to be pretty good. Now moving on to Priest. You've seen Big Priest before. Here's the list. People got to Legend playing it. Who would have thought? Still cancerous, still works. The only difference that I personally see is there's double Shudderwock Horror. I've seen lots of aggressive decks in the recent days. Lots of them. Which is mainly the reason this card was included in this deck. But then you can also just include Excavated Evil. Same thing. Now the Priest deck we were looking forward to. 5 mana is the highest cost card. It's Combo Priest with Dragons. I love it. You have extra arms in here. With Radiant Elemental, it becomes 1 mana. 1 mana +2/+2, and you get it back. It's basically Twin Spell without the keyword Twin Spell. Play Shadow Visions, discover any good card, win the game. Now for Rogue. And Rogue is really interesting this week because Mill Rogue and Pogo Rogue became more viable. Now that Pogo Hop is 1 mana, you might face some big priests, you want to counter them with Mill Rogue. But those lists don't really make it to Legend, at least. People don't tend to play them. Maybe the games take too long. Thing is, Kingsbane is gone. I've seen 1 Kingsbane player in the last 2 weeks since it got nerfed. Now the go-to Rogue deck appears to be Odd Rogue. And in Odd Rogue, you just have Evil Miscreant and Dr. Boom, and besides that the same list from like 1 year ago. 1.5 years ago actually, since Witchwood came out. It's still good to see, because I would personally say Odd Rogue is fair compared to Kingsbane. Kingsbane is infinite as a weapon. At least you know what you face. You know, there's going to be a Valspan that can remove your minion bait. There is no sap. There is no vanish. There is no 1 mana Doomerang deal 15 damage bull. Obviously, Buccaneer to hero power is a Fiery War Axe as a hero power. Now that's another debate. Now for Shaman, we got 3 different decks. Shudderwock, Murlocs, and Even. I would personally say Murlocs is the fastest deck of all of them. Probably not the most consistent one. You can easily win by turn 5 if you just high roll, if you get the perfect 1-drop into Underbelly Angler into infinite value. Does that happen that often? Probably not. I've seen token druids including Hungry Crab now to counter Murlocs, so be aware of that. You probably want to include a second Devolve. Devolve is just too good of a card. Maybe -1 Ice Fishing. And you don't need Skargle. I have Skargle, I played Skargle, you don't need Skargle. Everything is awesome, Lothrop is happy. Then we got Shudderwock Shaman again, and like CPV's list from about a month ago, there is no Grumble. There's Youthful Brewmaster, there's Zola, there's no Barista, there's no Grumble. Maybe. You really don't need them. What we do have in here though is Corpse Staker and Walking Fountain, which means you win against aggressive decks, also Ooze, also Devolve, also Maelstrom Portal. You have double Doppelgangster in this case and double Evolve, which makes it a little bit more RNG heavy, and you have double Volcano instead of only 2 Hagatheth Schemes. So you have 4 cards in total that clear the board on turn 5. Now your win condition is probably just going to be play all the better cries, your opponent can't play shit anymore, you heal, you get something back, you have Jaws that catch and Claws that bite, and the other way around, you know Shudderwock. And lastly, Even Shaman. Who would have thought that the Stormbringer and Thunderhead are good cards now for Even Shaman? Well, probably all of us. This list includes 1 Wind Fury. Wind Fury in itself usually reads deal 8 damage. Or deal 5 damage if you played an Aya or thing from below. Thing is, personally, I wouldn't include Rag. I do like Ragnaros, but usually you face token stuff, right? You face other Even Shamans, you face Odd Paladin, you face anything that plays more than 1 minion in a turn. And in that case, Lich King is way better. Stormbringer. Interesting card. Played it myself. Card is kind of game winning. I wouldn't say broken. Like Darkest Hour is definitely better for 6 mana. But the card itself, you can get Tyranthus, you can get, I don't know, Finlay, you can get Patches. It's really RNG heavy. On average, let's say you get a 5/5 per minion. Every single token you play, every single time you press your hero power, when it's still on the board. It's a legendary. Maybe, might be Sylvanas. Thunderhead, 3/6, doesn't get removed the moment you play it, usually. Then you get value. Lots and lots of value. Now the interesting card in here is Zap. I haven't seen Zap being played yet, but it does make sense. It's basically backstab, and you summon 2 1/1 with Rush if you have Thunderhead on the board. Might be a new inclusion that we keep. And for Warlock, we start with Reno Warlock. This list does run N'Zoth. And the interesting part about N'Zoth is, usually you don't play him. Unless you face very, very control-heavy decks, like Odd Warrior, maybe Big Priest. You do have Tinkmaster Overspark and Bran to make your opponent happy. You also have Treachery and Doomsday to make your opponent happy, which basically means this one is tacked against Big Priest. I like it a lot. Good job. Even Warlock is still there. It's still working. And it has still lots of different variations. Do you want to play Shadow Flame? Do you not want to play Shadow Flame? Double Spellbreaker to silence, double Shroom Brewer to heal, or only one-offs? Usually you just +1, -1 of each card. Interesting cards in here. Nerubian and Reveler. You might include a second one if you face one Big Priest or Mage, because they can't do anything. Personally, I usually include an 8-drop. Most of the time Lich King or Ragnaros. Lastly, there is Mill Warlock. Usually you used to play Treachery on not just Doomsayer or Fell Reaver, but also on Howl Fiend. To then use Defile, and then your opponent, well, loses his whole hand. But this doesn't happen anymore, because Howl Fiend is a demon, and you want to play Voidcaller into Voidlord on your own side of the field. If you play Voidcaller into Howl Fiend, then your opponent just hits it. That's not how it works. Which means we are allowed to play Godan. For no reason, I faced this deck 4 times in a row, from 4 different people. Just back to back to back to back. You can win against any combo deck because you do have Dirty Red. You can win against Big Priest because you have Doomsayer into Treachery and they resummon that. You win against any control deck because you have Treachery and Fell Reaver. And aggressive decks, well, Ziliax, Skarking Geist against Druid. You might want to include Hellfire instead of Corrupting Mist because it works immediately and not just a turn later. But interesting list for sure. Now to Odd Warrior. There are 2 things to say about Odd Warrior. Mr. Bad Messiah got to rank 1 legend this season. Thing is, the list you see is not his list. His list does run Azalina Soul Thief as well as Elysiana. Elysiana gives you +10 cards, Azalina steals the opponent's hand if you face Jade Druid, so you don't just lose immediately. Now, if you never face Jade Druid, you don't need those 2. Unless you face Reno Mage and they out of nowhere have Elysiana, which did happen. Usually when I try to play Odd Warrior, it worked like this. We queue, find a game, opponent sees Baku animation, opponent concedes, get a free win. Personally, if I would play something like even Warlock or anything aggressive and I see Odd Warrior, I would just I would stuff. That's simple, I would just stuff. It's basically facing Big Priest as a control deck. If I face Odd Warrior as an aggressive deck, yeah, I spent my time with a different opponent. Which means if you play it, might get an opponent with that mindset too. For the last deck, this made it to Legend last season, but I wanted to include it still, because it's Patron Warrior. I have no idea what the person faced, but apparently this one works. Get to 480 Legend. I've seen a list that runs Patron, but that is also Deadman's Hand Warrior, with Cold Light Oracle and Bran, so you can just fatigue the opponent to death. Rush Patron Warrior. Apparently it works. And those are the decks 15 out of 16 that got people to legend the first 7 days. Let me hear what you think, because I would say we probably all know that aggro is the most seen archetype at the moment, and well, most of those decks were aggressive. Maybe you find a hunter deck that works, that is not mech hunter, so we can put it in here. All codes are in the description down below, so you can just skip the whole video. Obviously I say it at the very end, so you don't skip the video. Watch the ads, give me ad revenue, I invest that into packs. Codes down below, copy paste them. Thanks for watching. And I think we get rid of the clap animation because I learned how to animate stuff, how to make transitions. So we can maybe zoom in, we can maybe slide to the left or right or up and down. Let's see what transition we make and which sound effect we use for the future. Not the next 10 videos because I already made them with the claps, but we will see. Until next time.